Alright guys, what's going on? So today we're going to be taking a look at a laptop I've had for a while, but just realized I had never really made a video on besides the unboxing of it. This is my Dell Latitude E7240. So this is a business class machine from about 6-7 years ago, so like 2013-ish. It is classified as an Ultrabook back when that whole Ultrabook thing was considered brand new. And I picked this up on eBay because I needed a small, or rather I wanted a more lightweight laptop to do things with that, I didn't really want to drag my MacBook Pro everywhere for. For example, I use this for KTuner, which is a tuning platform for my car. It was just more convenient to have this, and obviously for this program you need Windows, and so I didn't really want to boot camp my Mac or anything. So anyhow, I picked this up so I can take this while I'm traveling, coffee shops or again in the car, things like that. And I believe I paid less than $200 for it, and this was about a year ago. So I want to preface this video by saying if you need a really cheap laptop just for basic use, something you can throw around. It's about the size, maybe it's probably a little bit smaller than a 13-inch MacBook Pro, that kind of area. I would totally recommend this laptop because it's probably going to be a little bit better than anything else you can buy for the money. And, it's a Haswell-based architecture, so it's not too old. But anyhow, let's go ahead and take a look at it. So here it is. Of course, you can see it's like this gray silver color. There also is a touchscreen model of this computer, which does have a different lid, but I opted not for that because I don't really see the point of a touchscreen on a laptop, but those are available. They're a little more expensive on eBay, but they're out there. And, it's pretty thin, pretty light. I'm not sure how much this thing weighs, but it's not much. It's probably 2 or 3 pounds. It's no big deal. Of course, it does still have ports because it's not a MacBook. So on the left side here, you can see we have a smart card slot. Right here, we have the Wi-Fi switch and the heatsink vent. On the back is where most of the ports live. We have I believe this is a gigabit Ethernet port. We have, 2 USB ports on the back. They are both SuperSpeed 3.0. We have an HDMI port right there, and of course our charge port. Now, as you can see, this machine is a little bit beat up, but again, it was used in a business environment, so it's been thrown around a bit. On this side, I believe we have, that is mini DisplayPort, I believe. It does not have a Thunderbolt logo. I think this was, well, it wasn't before Thunderbolt, but it was before it was seen on PCs. Anyway, another USB port and a headphone jack. We also have, another thing that MacBooks don't have anymore, an SD card slot. So that's pretty nice, pretty handy. There's just obviously a plastic blank in there at the moment. On the front, there's nothing except the speakers. On the bottom, of course, the battery is removable. All you gotta do is flip this switch and the battery comes out. I ended up purchasing a new battery for this machine shortly after I bought it because the one that it shipped with was quite worn. But this one is a 52 watt hour, so I believe it's a little bit bigger than the one that I had in here before. Genuine Dell battery. This was not cheap, but it was worth it. And then if you take these two screws out here, this whole panel here slides up and you can access the RAM and basically everything else on the inside. To remove the heatsink, you do need to remove the logic board, so that kind of sucks, but it is what it is. Down there, of course, normally this would be covered up, but this machine, again, has been beaten up, so we have our keyboard backlight and our keyboard connectors. The backlight on mine does not work. You might be able to see that there is a small rip in the cable, so for that, I believe I would need to purchase a new keyboard. So I chose not to do that. This one specifically also has a 3G card in it, so you can see we have a SIM card there. Of course, I don't use that, but yeah. Of course, this machine also came out when Windows 8 was the newest thing. Of course, I don't really have good memories of Windows 8. That was literally the operating system that made me switch to a Mac, so I run Windows 7 on this, and we'll talk a little bit more about that after I turn it on. But let me go ahead and open it up. We'll continue from there. So as you can see, it's a pretty standard design for Dell notebooks of this era, which, I think it's fine. It's a nice looking business notebook. This one actually does have a little bit of an aesthetic thing. We have a black Core i7 sticker instead of, the typical blue ones that we normally get. Of course, here's the keyboard. Like I said, it was backlit, but it no longer works. No big deal there, though. Over here, we have some volume controls and our power button over here. So let me go ahead and put that back. Of course, this is a 12-inch screen. I believe it is 1280 by 800, but I could be wrong. It might be 1440 by 900. We'll check when we boot it up. Speaking of which, let me go ahead and do that while I continue talking about it. webcam there. Of course, I believe it's only like 480p, so it's not great. So as you can see, I am running Windows 7 on it. Of course, this computer does support Windows 10, and from what my friends have told me, it does seem to run okay, but I actually tried it on here a while back and noticed the battery life was way worse on 10, so I rolled back to 7. Even though it's no longer supported, I still prefer it just because, again, the battery life is way longer. I typically get around 5 to 6 hours or more out of this thing, and so that's the main reason. Go ahead and turn the brightness down, even out the white balance, but yeah, go ahead and zoom in on the screen here. So here we are. So let's go ahead and check on that screen resolution again. Okay, so it's 1366 by 768. Don't know why I looked over that, but I'll go ahead and go into the system properties so we can take a look at the specs of this one. This one's rather high-end for the time. We have a Core i7-4600U CPU. Of course, these do come in Core i5 models, but again, the Core i7 models are less than $200 on eBay now. This one used to have 16 gigs of RAM, but unfortunately one of the RAM sticks died somehow, so now it only has 8, but you know, it is what it is. Zoom out a bit here. So, I mean, again, I use this thing for very basic use, and you know, for browsing the internet and that type of stuff, it definitely does that just fine. Of course, I'll go ahead and pull up Google here. Of course, my internet's probably being a pile right now, but there you go. This one does also come with an SSD. I forgot to mention that earlier. Some of you might be wondering how do you fit a 2.5-inch drive in here, and the answer is you don't. So I believe it has a Samsung PM851 SSD. I believe it's mSATA. So again, not too bad there. It does end up speeding up the machine quite a bit. But that's going to be about it. I don't really have a ton on the software side to show you guys, but that is just a little, like, I guess, overview/review thing of my Dell Latitude E7240. I'll go ahead and shut her down. And yeah, thank you guys for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.